And you've given me the consent to do this, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you are an attorney, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How long have you been practicing law?
This is my 14th year. 14 years in September.
Okay. Could you tell us the path that you took from leaving high school to finishing law school, and how long did this take?
Well, it was a really crooked path. When I first got out of high school, I had a lot of scholarships, and I blew off college. I went for 1 year, and then I dropped out, and I had been working full-time, but obviously I didn't know how to manage my time well, and I didn't really have a lot of ambition initially. I really didn't. I worked at Western Sizzlin as a server and as an assistant manager for about 17 years. After I'd been there for about 13 years, after I'd been there for 10 years, I met my husband. He was a customer at the restaurant, and he came in, and we got married, and then after a couple more years, he started encouraging me to go to college. He felt like that I was, didn't need to be working at the restaurant for the rest of my life. So he encouraged me to go to college. I really didn't have a lot of... I was very shy, believe it or not. I was very apprehensive about being intelligent enough to go to college, and I really didn't have a clear-cut goal. When I got to Arkansas State University, I met Dr. David England, and he was my mentor. He was very, very instrumental in me wanting to go to law school. I took all of his classes. He was a brilliant man. He was my advisor, and he wrote a fantastic letter of support when I wanted to go to law school. Because I didn't do well when I was in undergraduate initially, I filed for academic clemency. At that point, after you'd been out of school for 5 years, you could have your record cleared and they would start over again. Now, while the undergraduate recognizes the academic clemency, the law school didn't. So they combined my bad grades from the first year with my really good grades from the second time. My letters, though, of recommendation indicated that was probably more what I was capable of rather than what I had shown initially. So Dr. England was very instrumental. My husband and Dr. England both were very instrumental in getting me into law school. I don't know what I would have done without either one of them.
Did you also have to keep a job in addition to going to school?
I did. When I was an undergraduate, when I was in college, and I was 31 when I went back to college. Mm-hmm. I worked 50 hours a week, no less. Usually it was between 50 and 70 hours, usually 50 and 70 hours a week at Western Sizzlin. Mm-hmm. When I was in law, I quit the week I went to law school. When I was in law school, I worked at Staff Mark, usually between 20 and 25 hours a week at night. I drove back and forth every night from Memphis to Jonesboro, and then I would run straight to Staff Mark and do all the filing and all of the data entry for the day that they had incurred. And then on the weekends, I would catch up if I couldn't get caught up at night. And that was sort of tough. It was really tough. But I will tell you, the drive back from law school gave me a chance to wind down and, get a grip on and go over what the notes had been for the day in my head and think about some of the things that I needed to do. It actually made me more organized. Working and going to school the second time around made me more organized. I do know that I didn't want to be a restaurant worker all my life, and there's nothing wrong with being a restaurant worker. I mean, for some people are so good at it. The amount of money that they make and the job that they perform is exceptional. I don't think I was that exceptional at restaurant work.
Do you have any concerns that you were too old to begin this journey?
Absolutely. Because when you're 25, you look at someone who's over 30 and you think they're ancient. Mm-hmm. Of course, now I'm 52 and I look at someone who's 35 and wish I could go back again. Yeah. But I did think I was too old. But now I don't even think I'm too old to embark on a new journey. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's ever anything wrong with starting something up. I mean, you're never too old. You can always start up something new.
Yeah. At some point, you mentioned you got married. Did this make your goals easier or harder to obtain?
It was sort of a mixture of both. My husband, marriage on a good day can be a little difficult sometimes, and I know he got pretty stressed out too. Mm-hmm. I was very picky. I'm very picky about the way certain things are done at the house, and so then he would have to pick up some slack. During finals week, I would always stay over in Memphis during the whole week because that was the most stressful time because in law school you only have the one test.
Yeah. Are you familiar with this concept of reinvention?
I am. In fact, I think I've read many books and many articles on it. I'm fascinated with it. The amount of women, particularly, men too, but, of course, being a woman, I read more of the women's magazines and the women's articles. there's a convention. I think that I had mentioned that to you before. There's a convention, several conventions actually, that take place about reinvention. Women attend classes, talk about the financial possibilities of embarking on a new career. Some of the magazine articles I've read have been very instrumental in helping me.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you today.
I think that the one last question, one further thing too that I noted that you had said something to me earlier, a good work ethic. I think absolutely, if you don't have a good work ethic, you can have all the smarts in the world, but without ambition or a good work ethic, you're not going to get anywhere in life.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Terry Jones. I appreciate the time.
No problem.